Babies in a Business, a podcast about business, marketing, growth, strategy, staff, clients, babies, and marriage. I'm Christina, joined by Peter. We are the founders and leaders of CIPR Communications, and we are going to talk about a lot of things today, but continuing our series on marketing strategy. How are you? How's the week going?
The week's going good. It's been a crazy week, as you know, so I won't get into the details, but we live in an interesting time, as we like to say.
You kind of have me curious now.
But we're in the middle of a global pandemic that's not very sexy right now, so it's just kind of interesting.
Oh, I thought something different had happened that I wasn't aware of.
No.
Well, personas, marketing strategy. Why are they
Yeah. Persona as well. I think this is probably one of the most important topics in the world of marketing, to be honest with you, and probably one of the things that most companies pay least attention to. Often when you ask people who they're marketing to, if they're not in some kind of super niche industry where it's like, oh, engineers or something like that, it's often like, well, whoever will buy from us. And that's fantastic that you want to sell your products to whoever will buy from you. But who do you want buying from you? Who's your ideal target audience? Who's your ideal customer? That's really what you need to drill down to. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, what I find really interesting about, and I didn't start my timer, so I'm going to start my timer as we talk. But what I find interesting is several, well, I would say most clients, when you start talking to them about personas, they kind of loop back to target audience. And a persona to me is just so much better than a target audience. I actually pulled up a definition of
Okay.
persona.
Please.
So it says, and this is just Wikipedia, folks, so you can double check it, but a persona, depending on the context, can refer to either the public image of one's personality or the social role that one adopts or a fictional character. The word is derived from Latin, so fun fact, where it originally referred to a theatrical mask. Which I thought was quite interesting. There's a fun fact for Marjana from our team. She'll like that one.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I
Um,
think in the case of marketing, I mean, really it's that fictional character or not necessarily a fictional character because your persona certainly could be an actual person who's your customer. And so a non-fictional character.
yeah, I think when we go through this, so we obviously do persona development as a marketing agency for our clients. And it's honestly one of my favorite things to do. I think the staff often laugh at me because I could definitely be a persona for many of our clients. If you think about mom who, makes a lot of decisions, who's planning for the family, who's kind of me, for lack of a better term.
You're a popular persona.
I am a popular persona. Everyone wants to know what mom wants to do.
Yeah.
But I think when you talk about target audiences and, oh, my target audience is 35 to 55 and blah, 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 and we got to target the women and this and that, a persona kind of goes one step deeper and I think allows not only internal audiences, but external audiences, like your consultants, your marketing agency, like your other potentially groups that you might be working with, truly kind of get a taste of who it is. Like if I say to someone, okay, your marketing persona is a 35-year-old to 55-year-old woman. She has kids and she lives in Alberta. Okay, great. But if I say your target audience, like your persona, your target persona is Christina. She's a mom. She values her, fitness and self-care. She takes her kids to school every day at 8:00. She's an avid Instagram user. Here are the 25 influencers that she clicks on most often. She consumes news through Twitter and CTV at night. Right? Like you can go on and on and on. And a persona just allows you to, like this definition, really create the character. And I think once you've created a character, rather than just this general target audience, you all of a sudden I think it becomes a lot clearer, not only the means in which to reach that person, but what's going to resonate with them.
Yeah. And I think it makes it a little bit easier for your marketing team also when you start to put a persona or personality around these audiences, if you will, to understand who you're talking to. And I know you, back from your days working at the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers, you guys used to talk about you had names and they were people essentially, and they were for each kind of different initiative you were doing, it was very clear who those people were. And if you think about marketing, and as the old saying goes, marketing's super easy. You just have to reach the right person at the right time with the right message. Well, the persona really gets down to who is that person, how do they consume information and content. Like, do they like to be on YouTube? Do they like videos? Do they like podcasts? Like whatever, right? And what types of messages might resonate with them based on who they are. Really gets that really deep into that sort of going way deeper than just a traditional target audience. So I'm curious, how do companies develop their personas? What types of researches are out there? What types of methods can companies utilize to sort of get this type of information and get going on this kind of work?
Are you asking me, or are you setting yourself to answer?
Well, I know the answer to the question. I don't know if you want me to talk about it or if you want me to.
I think you can, but what I'll say is that, obviously there's a lot of research that goes into it, which you're going to get into, but what else goes into it is expertise.
Mm,
And, research is one thing, but when I think about, we work with a lot of tourism-based clients, and we know those target audiences and personas really well now,
mhm,
because we have worked with a plethora of people in that industry. I think about the energy industry, oil and gas, energy services. A large majority of our team has background in that industry, and we understand those personas really well. So, side note, before you get into kind of the tools that we use, other than that, it's like ask your marketing agency the experience they have with persona development. And if they kind of step back and start talking about just more general target audience terms, kind of push them on personas. It's something that we often end up pushing our clients on to really drill down and have a better idea of.
mhm.
But it's so important. And I think an experienced agency not only uses the tools, but has some pretty good instinct and understanding built in that they bring to the table too.
Yeah. So a couple ways you can do research to understand and develop your personas is, number one, talking to your sales team and talking to the people who speak to your customers the most. They probably have some pretty good insights into who those customers are. Now, I will caveat that with they're probably MSA, making shit up, because they're probably inferring a lot of things based on conversations, based on who they like to talk to. So there's some bias when it comes to speaking to your own sales team, I think. So there's some caution there. I don't want to say don't do it, because they do have insights, and really well developed sales teams and salespeople, probably know fairly well who their personas are. But outside of talking to your own people, I mean, you can go talk to your own customers, and go really understand your best customer. Who is your best? Who's that ideal customer? We have a couple in different verticals that we deal with that it's like, hey, that is our perfect customer right there. Go understand them, go ask them questions, take them for coffee, understand who they are, what drives them, what motivates them, sort of what pressures they're feeling, you know what I mean, how you fit in their world, all those types. It's a great source of information, and because you already have a relationship, they'd be more than, I think, happy and willing to give you some good information. The other thing you can do is you can go talk to your potential customers or your ideal customers, and we're actually doing this right now. CIPR Communications actually engaging in a poll that's just being done by a telemarketing agency, where they're asking 11 questions of our ideal target audience, and we're learning about where they consume information and how they consume information and how they feel about marketing, and what are their pain points, and all kinds of things like that. How much money do they spend on marketing? What are their biggest barriers? So we're doing that research just to learn more about our persona. And generally speaking, right now we're talking to business owners, that persona for us. The other way you can do it is to do more of a formal survey, like a formal, engage in us with a marketing research agency and a company, and which you can do through us, and formally do a survey and get a big target, get a big sample size so that you can be as statistically relevant as possible. And I think the other final way, which is probably the most expensive, is to do focus groups. Get your ideal customer into a room, get a company that actually does this for a living, and go deep and ask lots of questions and probe. I mean, focus groups go really deep. We did it for a client of ours and got some really good nuggets of information and insights that were really kind of valuable as the company was developing their marketing plan. So those are just a few ways. There's definitely market research you can buy, and there's information that can be purchased. So that's another way to do it. But spend the time up front and really getting to understand who your personas are and what they are, and give them a name, give them a personality, and go even as far as putting them up on a wall somewhere in your office to remind all your team who that ideal customer is.
Yeah, I think another interesting way an individual could research too is through social media. So you probably instinctually know, I mentioned before, okay, mom, Christina, consumes a lot of influencer content on Instagram. So it's like, hey, pick 25, 50 moms that appear to be your target audience and are that target persona, and see what followers they have in common, see who they're following that's in common, see the types of things they post, where they've been going. I think that you can do that. Talking to people and your customers, I think, is a great thing to do. But in the cases where you don't necessarily have that base, there's also interesting ways to do it, and that's something that we kind of actively do when we're developing personas for our clients.
I was going to say the great part of the internet and the scary part of the internet is that everything's basically visible publicly. So you can really kind of get creepy and really follow people around and understand how they consume and where they spend time and all that kind of stuff pretty easily these days. So not to be creepy, but you can definitely kind of do a little bit of that kind of work just to get a sense of exactly who these personas are and how they spend time online.
Yeah. So again, target audiences, not enough. You need to dig deeper into personas, and completely not work related, but I think a really powerful example that I'm going to use is Jackie, who is actually someone who got me into essential oils. No, this is not an advertisement for Young Living.
Multi-level marketing.
My team's going to murder me. But she is on Instagram, essentially ranching. Go check her out. She's a communications background. I went to university with her, and I just think she does a really fabulous job at her Instagram. You can tell that I am her persona. I don't know, Jackie, if you've sat down and done persona mapping, although it would not surprise me if you had. But the content that she creates and pulls people like me in is exactly that, right? She's focused on certain mediums. She provides great information through those things. She's getting a glimpse of her real life, about the balance. The things that matter to her are obviously the things that matter to me. So there's good alignment between kind of who she is and who her brand is. And I think that's something that's also really important. When you talk about personas, those folks need to align with your corporate values, which we talked about, I think, last podcast or 2 podcasts ago. Those goals that you have from a business perspective need to align with the goals of your persona. I mean, you talked about oil and gas in my life in corporate Calgary, but obviously there were certain personas that we weren't going to go after because we knew there was no hope. And why would we waste our time? So it was about focusing on those people that we either knew we could have informative conversations with, or we knew were champions already. So
that's actually a great point. Just overall, I want to maybe just jump off on that. I know we're getting short on time, but if you're thinking about hiring a marketing agency or a marketing person inside your organization or a salesperson, it's probably helpful for that person to not necessarily be the persona, but to be aligned with the persona. Last thing you want, you need alignment between what the person's marketing or selling and the person that they're marketing or selling to. It makes the job way easier, right? If somebody's
Totally.
not passionate or doesn't care about something and you just bring them in, I mean, they're just going to be going through the motions and it's not going to be successful.
Totally. So persona is more important than you thought they were. So when an agency is in that strategy development side and they go, do you want personas built out? You do.
You do.
All right. Well, just a reminder, Christmas is coming. So go buy me some presents.
Okay.